Right now, joining me on the KDWN Live Line, Tech News with Kevin Richards from Ventura Web Design. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Alan. Great to be with you, as always.
Good to have you this morning as well. Let's get right into a lot of stuff to talk about this morning, and some stuff very recent that kind of perplexes me. But a European Union Court of Justice in Luxembourg decided that Google must grant users of its search engine a right to delete links about themselves in some cases, including links to legal records. All right, so first of all, does this include the United States?
Well, of course not. It doesn't include us because it's happening over in the EU, thankfully. It all stemmed from a long ago personal bankruptcy, and so this really is it's a far-reaching case. It's a very big story, and I'm surprised it's not getting more play.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that the search engine is the one that actually houses and holds, and using a tech word, hosts the content that is being put out there, and that's just simply not the case. The search engine is doing just what it sounds like. It's searching the Internet and indexing and cataloging that information and making it so people can find it. And so what's happened with this ruling is the responsibility of policing the content on the Internet has now shifted from the actual publisher, the person who's putting it out there, to now it's Google's responsibility to make sure that the content out there is fair and doesn't defame someone. It's a big change, and I really don't think it's the right direction.
Oh, really? Okay. Why is that?
Well, Google has always taken the position of we're going to make the world's information easily accessible. And that is obviously a huge task. It's a noble task. And now they're being told that, oh, and by the way, you must police this information and make sure that, if somebody has some information out there on the Internet and they don't like it, you need to, hop in there and remove it from your search engine. The focus should really be on the people who are putting out the information, whether it's good or bad. And the funny thing is, this story really is about truth. There was a personal bankruptcy. It's true. It happened. And, somebody should be able to search for that information, and if that information shouldn't be searchable, then in reality it shouldn't be existing on whatever server it's currently on.
So who assumes the responsibility now and the cost for removing that information if requested to do so?
Well, it's obviously going to be going on to the search engines. I mean, it's their responsibility. Exactly.
Google and those folks will have to cough up.
Right. Google's going to have to come up with policies, procedures. They're going to have to dedicate manpower to this. It's going to be a pretty big deal. And the next question is, does this extend to other things that can be considered search engines? Does it extend to Twitter? Does it extend to Facebook? I mean, those both archive, what's considered old information.
Do you think this is going to happen in the United States, by the way?
It's hard to say. This is called right to be forgotten, and it affects 28 countries in the EU right now. And, the other thing is, from a search engine optimization perspective, an Internet marketer, one of the techniques that people use with, certainly isn't good, but they use something called negative SEO. And what they do is they go out there and they try to get positive information about their competitors and companies removed. Now this is going to be another tactic for them to go out there and say, oh, hey, I want this information removed, and it's yet another thing for Google to have to police.
Which means it's going to be an expense to them, so they may start charging people for some kind of use of Google as well.
Exactly, and it also makes it more difficult for smaller companies that are trying to put information out there, maybe even trying to compete with Google. Now they also have to take the responsibility of having these policies and procedures in place and giving people the ability to exclude information about themselves. Now, this does only currently apply to individuals. It doesn't apply to companies quite yet. But the question is, what's the difference between, say, a restaurant owner asking for the removal of a report that maybe has his or her name in it, and it's, several years old, and it has something to do with maybe food poisoning? What's the difference between that individual owner? Why shouldn't he also be able to get the information removed?
Right. All right, listen, something else I want to bring up about Google in a minute. I'm going to go to traffic in a minute, but I want to talk about this thing that Google and ex-DARPA, I guess, are pushing This is incredible. For microchipping all human beings. I want to talk about that in a minute, too. We'll come on back and continue our discussion with Kevin Richards, Tech News with Kevin Richards. And, of course, you can always find out more about Kevin and contact him through VenturaWebDesign.com, which you can find at AlanStock.com. Right now, we're talking with Kevin Richards, our Tech News segment every Friday, and I appreciate your being with me. But I've got to ask you this. What is this I hear about the ex-DARPA director and Google executive Regina Duggan, whatever her name is, but they're pushing for microchipping human beings. Seriously?
Well, Google has a lot of special projects, quote-unquote, that they're working on, and this was part of the Motorola division, and Google has since sold Motorola, but she stayed on with Google. She is their VP of Engineering, Advanced Technology, and Projects now. She's a 51-year-old New Yorker. She went to West Virginia Tech, and this really stems back to the concept of improving security, and at least that's the auspices that they're discussing this under. And one of the ideas they've had was ingesting a pill that would then be battery powered with your stomach acid, and that would allow you to secure your passwords. And obviously,
what was it? You take a pill. Say that again.
You take a pill, and it then becomes battery-powered with your stomach acid, and it produces an internal signal. That internal signal would then be picked up by a device in front of your computer, and that would serve as a secondary piece of identification to confirm that it's really you.
Now, does that stuff stay in you, or does it pass through you?
They have. I think it does. That one does pass, and you have to take it, regularly. I think I forget the duration of whether it was once a week or, once every couple weeks. But, they're certainly considering a lot of different things, and this is just one in a long line of things. It's certainly not going to happen anytime soon, but it does seem to have some FDA support.
So, you're kidding me. I understand the FDA, as a matter of fact, you're right, has approved something like this, the size of a grain of rice, that they would put in all people. What is with this stuff? I mean, we're all going to be robots.
Well, that's true, and you got to look at what's the value, what's the benefit, and you got to decide if it's right for you, I guess. I think I can say confidently that I won't be microchipping myself.
Well, I can say confidently that'll be two of us then, for sure. I can guarantee you. Jeremy's sitting here going, ain't me either, so I got three. And Kathy's saying four here, so we got at least four of us that are going to be walking around as people instead of robots. I think this is absolutely strange. I really, really do. Speaking of privacy and that issue, real quickly, I want to find out, I know the Snapshot now allows for videos, but there's some kind of a new privacy concern. Tell me about that.
Yep, Snapchat's that mobile sharing app that we've talked about quite a bit, and the goal of Snapchat is that you take a picture or you take a video, and then it's shown to your recipient, and then it disappears. Of course, we all know it lasts forever. There's ways to keep it.
Right.
But what's happening today is they've launched some new filters, and it's a little weird scenario. They've launched filters, and you know what a filter is for a photo. It changes the colors or whatever. This one is called a smart filter, and so it will connect to the Weather Channel, and it'll take your location, and maybe it'll display the temperature, and change the filter based upon the location you're at, that kind of thing. But the other filters are really still sepia toned or saturated or whatever. And so the question is, why are they so focused on this location data? I think we all know the answer to that. It's all about selling advertising dollars at some point down the road. Snapchat says back, we don't keep locational data and we don't associate it with any usernames. You got to, take that with a grain of salt, decide if you believe that or if you think that that's just a parsing of words.
Well, I agree with you. They want to sell things to us. I get that, but also there's the concern about tracking people for other nefarious purposes. We know about the NSA and a lot of things that are going on. I'm talking about looking at Americans, not foreign enemies overseas, but Americans here, what they've been tracking. And so there's a large concern, I think, by a lot of people, including me, about this kind of information going out in general, and who's going to be using it and for what purposes. So, I mean, this is of concern to me, and it should be, I think, to everyone as well. Kevin Richards, of course, Ventura Web Design. They designed the AlanStock.com page and did a great job, by the way. To find out more about Ventura Web Design and to contact Kevin Richards, go to AlanStock.com. At the right-hand side of the page, you'll see the Ventura Web Design logo. Click onto that, and you will find out more about Ventura Web Design, all the other products that they offer, and you'll be able to contact Kevin Richards directly there. But thank you very much for joining us this morning, Kevin. And by the way, you and your wife looked lovely last night as you're going to, I know, another event. You and your
Thank you for having us last night. We had a great time seeing you.
It was terrific. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it, and we'll talk again.
All right. Thanks, Alan. Have a great one.
You too. Kevin Richards, Ventura Web Design, joining us here on News Talk 720 KDWN.